Good morning. You want to go outside? FBI, open up!
Just kidding. Just kidding. I wouldn't do that. Just kidding. Now, where is my mic? Gotta start a podcast with the microphone, right? I'm hoping it's in my closet. Maybe it's over here. Maybe my microphone's up here.
All right, let's get to it.
You know, I think I'm gonna get down before I die, you know. Two turntables and a microphone. If I can find my freaking microphone. Holy sh! Found it. I looked all over the place for this. Now I guess we can get the podcast started.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the NitPickCentral podcast. I am your host, Andrew, and with me, as always, is your co-host, Zach. This podcast centers around us reviewing and giving our takes on stuff like movies, TV shows, trends, and whatever else we might want to talk about. So, Zach, how are you? What's going on?
We're finally back. Lots has changed.
Yes.
Lots. Last video we did was Captain America. You saw that great intro. That was the best way to get, like, it took me forever to find my microphone, but I finally found it. You had a little bit easier time logging on, it looked like.
Yeah. Yep, just had everything ready to go. Nice and smooth.
My life is literally organized chaos. That's just the way it is. But anyway, now that we're finally back, I basically just want to talk about this movie, obviously, because I've only seen it once. You've seen it how many times now? Twice?
Yeah, I've seen it twice. Once in 3D, that was the very first time I watched it, and then the second time was in 2D in the in the biggest auditorium that our theater has.
Okay, so I've only seen it the one time, and I can loosely remember certain scenes, so you might have to help me out here. But other than that, I basically just want to talk about the controversy surrounding this movie. Some of the news that surfaced once this movie came out, and of course the memes this movie has like birthed.
Yeah, because there's a lot of them, and like they're all over my Twitter, all over Instagram, TikTok. Dude, so
the one I sent you the other night, I still cannot get over that one singular image.
Yes,
of the concept art. I'll have to throw that in here in a minute, but yeah, like I remember me and you were watching this movie. That was my first time watching this movie. And a character popped up, and I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Do you see this guy with that yee ass haircut?
Yeah. Straight out of GTA.
Like, yeah. And then you're like, yo, dude, that looks like who's that rapper you're talking about?
Lil Mosey. He's literally
like Lil Mosey.
Yeah. Like if I had not seen that movie before and you would have told me like, hey, like this new Avatar movie, it's got Lil Mosey cameoing in the movie, it's pretty sick. I would totally believe you, because like like especially if you see the side by side screenshots of that character, who I literally cannot even remember his name, and Lil Mosey, you would literally think, oh yeah, it's literally him in a mocap suit or something. it's like
it's almost a
on.
spinning image of that guy. Like it's literally his avatar.
You see what he did there?
Anyway, or I hack up a lung. Okay. First thoughts, movie, go, spit them out.
Okay, so as a theater experience, it was literally amazing. Like, especially in the biggest theater that we had in Theater 6. Just like, if you like, I would recommend, like, if for someone to watch this movie for the first time, to watch it on the biggest screen with the best sound system possible, because like James Cameron's this one of these kind of directors where like he makes a movie like instead of a movie, you know, like a lot of movies come out these days, but he makes a movie, you know like what I'm saying?
Movie in all caps.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, like the movie, like it's literally like there's certain scenes where you're like, how did they pull this off with just like straight up CGI and like digital capturing and everything? It's truly crazy.
Beautiful, dude.
Yeah, like it's like, and I think they said like 80 something, maybe a little lower, like 80 something % of the movie was shot on water, which is crazy because like when the movie opens, like we start off in that old like tribe village, like where the first movie took place in, and then like I don't think we leave that place until maybe 25-30 minutes in. So
literally though.
Yeah, but like everything that was shot and like the water tribe, basically straight up different kind of Avatar, but like everything that was shot in like their land or their like waterscapes and everything was just beautiful. And like all the underwater shots, especially that one with Jake Sully's kid and that big whale, like when he was like dragging him like underneath the water and everything, like I don't know how James Cameron is pulling that off, but like he's truly one of a kind filmmaker, and we're lucky to live and be in a situation to where we can actually see these kind of things in 2022, now 2023.
Literally, okay, so like him and Christopher Nolan, literally every time they make a movie, they somehow break ground with some kind of technology.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just sitting here in the studio pumping out new technology like it's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For every movie they produce.
Yeah. Like, so you have like these are the big three in my opinion these days. We got Christopher Nolan, who pretty much every time he drops a movie, it's a statement, and it's either like a groundbreaking movie that's like has a lot of things and like lots of moving parts going into it, and of course like with something like Tenet, there's just a really like profound and really kind of like intricate idea or concept he's trying to bring across. And like usually like his kind of movies are the ones that you have to watch like 3-4 plus times just to really actually get behind what he's trying to say and like what he's trying to get across with this concept. Like like I've seen Tenet only once, and like I'm not gonna lie, I was confused the whole time. Like it's so confusing. And like my buddy who I used to live with, he was like, yeah, I've seen that movie like 5 times and I still don't get the whole time dilation concept or whatever. So there's Christopher Nolan, and then there's Steven Spielberg, who just dropped The Fabelmans, and I really, really want to go watch that because that just looks like a really good movie. And like when he drops something, it's like kind of in the same vein as James Cameron, to where it's like it's a moment. Like it's something that like even if you're not a fan of like whatever the movie might be about, you just want to go watch it as a movie just so you can see what he's cooked up this time, you know, because like he's given us things like E.T. and what are some of others movies? I'm totally blanking right now.
You literally struck a chord with me because you're like, what are some movies that E.T. Let me enlighten you real quick. Yeah. So he's been a part of just about every major motion picture of the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, if he didn't direct it or write it, he was somehow a part of it. So, like, there's Back to the Future, there's The Goonies, Jurassic Park, there's E.T., like you said, there's another movie too. But he was anything big from the 80s that you can think of off the top of your head, he was more or less a part of that film.
Yeah. Like he's just like, these people just know how to grab someone's attention, and like not only an individual's attention but a whole audience, because like they know how to make like theater spectacles that aren't Cap wielding Mjolnir or the three Spider-Men getting together. Like those are completely different kind of experiences that are more crowd pleasers, but what they create are more things like
Visual
stuff like
pleasers.
like visual like experiences like in the theater that you just won't get from any other kind of director.
Well, yeah, because
And
like, what's James Cameron made the Terminator franchise.
yeah, I know we made at least the first two, Terminator 1 and 2.
I know those are the only good ones. Let's get started with that. All the other ones are kind of a mess.
Yeah.
But I can't think of any other major motion pictures that he was a part of besides Avatar off the top of my head. I'm sure I'll think
James
of it here.
Cameron?
Yeah, James Cameron. Yeah.
Yeah, he made Titanic. I know that for a
There we
fact.
go.
Yeah.
Titanic. Let me tell you something about a boat that sinks in the water real quick. That movie not only caused a lot of water flow when it sunk, but it also made my waterworks, open up, because it's a real tearjerker. First time I watched that, I was maybe 6. Yeah, I was bawling. Not with a basketball. I mean, there was water all over the floor. I was crying.
Yeah. I remember I saw that like when I was like maybe like you like 6, 7, 8 years old. I was with my cousins, and like this is really this is a long time before I really got into movies like I am now. But I even back then I was like, man, that must suck being in that kind of situation.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah. And Titanic's actually getting a re-release on Valentine's Day, if you didn't know.
Isn't it getting released in like 4K back into theaters and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah,
actually.
So I'm definitely going to go watch that.
Oh, same. They need to do that with the other OG movies he's released, like the Terminator. If they freaking would remaster that, because before we'll save this for another day. But if you've seen the first Terminator movie, it's kind of like his foot in the door, his like real start movie, because it seems kind of low budget and stuff like that, even though it's not supposed to come off that way.
Yeah.
But you remaster that movie and put it in 4K, dude, you just cooked up a masterpiece. Like, that's probably going to be a great film. I don't understand how that movie hasn't made it into the national, like, registry, because a handful of other movies have. Like, I know Iron Man's in there.
Really?
Yeah. And Back to the Future was in there not too long ago, too. Like, they just did this, like, maybe a year ago. I'll have to look that up and see if Terminator is part of it, too, and let you know. But anyways, back to Avatar. We got way off track there.
Yeah. So, like, those are just, like, the 3 big directors. You got Christopher Nolan, you got Steven Spielberg, and then, of course, the main man, James Cameron. Like, those 3 guys, like, kind of like what I was saying before, whenever they put something out, it's a moment. It's a statement. You want to go watch it because you just want to see how far they've pushed the envelope this time. And like Avatar: The Way of Water is definitely a statement that James Cameron has made.
I agree. So to answer my question from a minute ago, just to confirm the statement I made, the Terminator is in the National Library of Congress, and it was in there in the year 2008. So it's been in there for a hot minute.
There we go.
But
a truly legendary movie.
I can see probably when I'm gaining on 50 or so, I could see Avatar 1 and Avatar 2 being in that collection as well.
Yeah.
Because that's like a big, like, they preserve historical movies. I could see Avengers Endgame ending up in there somehow.
Oh yeah, for sure.
More down the line, but Avatar 1 and 2, I could definitely see those go in there too.
Yeah, like pretty much almost all of James Cameron's catalog might be in there.
Exactly.
when it's all
That's
said
what
and
I'm
done.
thinking. Like he's probably got his own freaking section in there.
Yeah.
But
Oh man.
anyway, so my first theater experience, I went to go see it with you, my guy.
Yeah.
Um, and we saw it in 3D, and I will tell you that's probably the best way to watch this major motion picture
Yeah.
because it's not like the old. I don't know how to categorize it. It's not really like the old school 3D. It doesn't really like reach out of the screen and try and grab you like it used to.
Yeah.
It just gives it like more of another dimension, so it doesn't look like
Mhm.
you're watching a flat screen
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, it
You
has
know what I
more
mean?
of it has more of like a what's the
Depth.
word? Yeah, depth. Like
There we go.
almost like you're looking into kind of like I want
A
to say
window.
like a window or kind of like a theater stage. You know,
Yeah.
like the actors on stage can reach out toward, I mean, obviously they're not going to touch you, but you can physically see them reach out beyond from where they are standing, you know.
Exactly. Like I remember towards the beginning of the movie, like you were saying, where it's kind of in the familiar set from the first movie. They were hunting, and I forget what's her name, the main female character.
Neytiri.
Um, yeah, she was hunting with a bow, and
Yeah.
the arrow pointed right at the camera. That
Mm.
popped out just a little bit to me. But other than that, the rest of the movie, nothing really like straight up popped out of the screen. It just kind of made the
Yeah.
screen go in further and give it a little more depth. But
Yeah.
other than that, besides the movie looking so visually pleasing, like every second of it, I loved the story of it. Like it did improve a little bit on the first one. I still have that one freaking question, and I asked you this when we walked out. What did they do with the body?
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Like Jake
Where's the
Sully's body
body?
or
Yeah, Jake Sully's body. Because at the
no.
end of the movie, remember they literally transfer his consciousness or whatever of his mindset or whatever into his avatar, and then the camera kind of pans down towards his eyes, and then it cuts to black. That's it. And then in this one, obviously some time has passed. So what they do? Just chuck it over the cliff or something, or
Yeah.
throw it in the water, or burn it?
Yeah. Like I was trying to think back because they did the same thing with what's her name? Sigourney Weaver's character. Like I think her like human self like got shot or something and they wanted to transfer her consciousness over to her avatar body permanently.
Yeah.
And like I can't remember if they just left her body like near that tree where they go and do that and just kind of let it become part of the land or something. Like I really don't know, but yeah, it's very very curious to see what actually happened.
Exactly. Like that's the only thing that's been itching my brain the whole time is because you got to think like we'll get okay, trust me, we'll get through the rest of this story at some point, but we that is the one thing that irritates me a little bit because you got to think you grew up in that body. You grew up on a separate planet. You transferred your body consciousness or whatever into a new body, and it's almost like a superpower at that point.
Right.
And the body that you've become accustomed with, I would have a harder time parting with that than just throwing it over the edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's got to be so trippy, being in a new different body that you got to get accustomed to and seeing yourself, like your physical self sitting there. You're like, whoa, this is not cool.
No way. No way.
Yes way, Ted!
Look, we know how you feel. We didn't believe it either when we were you.
Like you know what I just thought of like when you were saying that.
What's
you
that?
know, you know in Derision Draw, like the Black Ops 3 Zombies map, like when you beat the Easter egg, Dempsey does that exact thing.
Yeah,
kind of.
that's
He's
what
like,
I was.
there's
That's
like
what I was getting at.
Yeah, like it's so trippy having to like kill yourself basically, but it's like
That's what-
it's
yeah,
a
that's
totally
what I'm
different
saying, like-
body. It's
Exactly. And especially since your body is like not human anymore, you know. And obviously, I could see why he would dispose of that body because if you don't remember in the first one, it's pretty well paralyzed.
Yeah, he was in a wheelchair, and then
Yeah,
like,
so I could see why he parted with that.
Yeah.
But
and
still.
I think thinking back to it, I think that's probably one of the. I mean, obviously, like he started to care about Neytiri and the people and the tribe, but I mean, at the same time, like this man went from like a disabled war vet to
betraying his own race.
8-9 foot tall avatar blue person thing that can walk. Like this dude hadn't been able to walk in probably years, and then all of a sudden he's able to walk again with an even stronger, more limber body. Like, who wouldn't want to stay like that? Like,
exactly,
that's
dude.
crazy.
That's what I'm saying. But still, at the end of the day, there's some part of your brain that goes, this is morally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, it's like a ugh. Like, I just, it's just really odd thing to wrap your head around.
Yeah, that's what I was constantly thinking of the whole time. Like, I was obviously processing all the information that they were throwing at me during the story, but in the back of my head, I'm like, dude, they're going to show it at some point. They're going to have, like, a flashback, and they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of, like, I thought it was interesting how the Colonel, what was his name? Colonel...
Like, hold up, I'll look it up. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, it's like the Colonel who we see him wake up in his new body. He's like freaking out on everyone and everything. And then we see him like kind of his old self, like his human self, kind of debriefing him on the whole situation. Like, yeah, like I basically transferred my consciousness into you. So like I am you, but I'm also not you at the same time. And yeah, like that's just super trippy because like it's just a video of your old life, like a past life kind of, and then like he just woke up, like he never got a chance to develop or grow into that body. He just was uploaded like a freaking like a song or something, just uploaded to a new body.
Literally. Like, okay, so I looked it up. His name is Miles. It's like Quaritch?
Yes, Colonel Quaritch.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, since we're on that subject, I gotta tell you, when we were watching that movie and we got to revisit the death spot, his like final resting place from the original movie, that scene went indubitably hard. Like, he literally picked up his skull and crushed it, dude. Yeah. Like, inferior model of himself. That was that was like, so cool.
I can see someone on TikTok having some like real like dark reverb bass boosted kind of song playing like right as soon as he crushes it, you know, like some but yeah, that whole scene, that was trippy, seeing him like at the same station that final battle took place. And like I just like, at least for me, like these days, like I'm kind of having like a director commentary going on in my head. I don't know if that sounds weird or something, because like when I was watching that like for the second time, I think I was like, okay, so like this scene is like the scene to where, like, for anyone who's unfamiliar with the old movie and don't want to watch it again, this is their kind of James Cameron's trying to jog your memory of that whole, like, that environment, like, and because they played the video of when Neytiri shot her arrow at him, and like just brings you back to that moment. And it's like,
yeah, wasn't it like dash cam footage almost?
Yeah, it was like in the corner. It was like the right hand corner of that like big suit that he was wearing.
Yeah,
and you saw that like specific angle, and like when it hit his chest, like it was like I said, like a top right angle, and like you saw Neytiri like clear as day. Like the camera zoomed in on her, and then when she shot, it zoomed back out, and then you saw the arrow plunge into his chest.
Literally, like. I'm a whore for continuity. Let me tell you something. Anytime you throw in just one little nod from a past movie that's somewhat related to it, I'm all like, "Oh my god, dude, that was awesome!" You know. And this was more than enough for me. Like just seeing, literally, they could have just walked past the site. They couldn't have even had to stop. You could have just saw it pass by in the background with the little robot there. I would have been satisfied. No, they went up and investigated, dude. Yeah. And they like tore that place. Oh my god. I was like, dude, this is great. I'm loving every second of this. And then, like I said, he literally picked up his skull and just crushed it. Oh, that went so hard.
Yeah, like continuity. Like, I just wish people cared more about continuity these days in their projects, because like you said, like it's just nice to see, because one, it shows that they care, and it shows that they're actually paying attention to what they're doing, because like in certain shots in other movies, like you'll see like a chair get misplaced, or you'll see like a person who's supposed to be standing in one spot and now they're either not even there or standing in a completely different spot. It's like, let's get some actual care to what we're doing here, you know, like, let's just not slap stuff together in the editing room at the end of the day.
Exactly, you know, like some Star Wars films.
Yeah. Oh God. We'll save those for a different day. Jesus Christ.
Another journey before we even vent about that. But I forgot what we were talking about when I first saw it with you. We were walking out, and me and you both were talking about the exposition dump at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was kind of unnecessary. Like, they definitely could have gotten rid of it, but it was kind of helpful that they did, because it did explain why there was a human character named Spider that I guess was just grew up, which is also another trippy thought to think of, being born on a whole nother planet and not knowing where your original race is from. That's got to be trippy, because like, imagine that guy going back to Earth.
Yeah, it's like for him, like, I think eventually, like, as these movies go on, Spider will eventually go back to Earth, and it'll basically like a human version of like someone going to Pandora. Like, Earth will basically be a Pandora for him, because like he's never been there. It's totally foreign to what he knows. So it'll basically be kind of like a reverse, and that's something that this movie did a lot, like with the whole like reverse thing, because like you have to imagine Spider, he is a human, grew up on Pandora and thinks he's a Na'vi, and then Colonel Quaritch, he's a human, grew up on Earth, who obviously thinks he's a human, but is now himself a Na'vi. And so like that whole reversal is just super interesting, and they could have done something better with that at the end. Like, that's probably one of my biggest gripes with the movie at the end, when he saved his father, or his quote unquote father. But yeah, like I just think that kind of reversal is super interesting. That I hope they do more with that, especially like eventually if the characters end up going to Earth.
Speaking of the end of the movie, since you mentioned it, I can definitely see Spider being the future villain of the franchise if the direction goes the right way, because I feel like they're not going to continuously milk the Colonel's character, Miles. I don't think they're going to have him in every single film. I think since they brought him, it was enough bringing him back in the second film, since he died in the first one, that I think he's probably going to die in the third one. Yeah, depending on however many movies they make. And we got to see the Spider character's human side, and not his Na'vi side, because he did straight up save, quote unquote, his father. And I don't know, he never really went back to back with the rest of the family. He just kind of stuck around. So and throughout the film you can kind of see him bonding with his quote unquote father. So there's definitely something there. And in the third film, if they play their cards right, they can also dispose of the Colonel's character and somewhat striking a chord with Spider, who could in turn turn into the next villain in the third film. Which would be quite interesting.
I think that if unless they give him something compelling and interesting to do, if Colonel Quaritch survives the third film, it'll just be such like a cop-out thing that having that continuous thread of like, he was in the first movie, so we're gonna keep him as long as possible, so new people or people who've seen only the first movie can jump back in, because that's someone who they recognize. But like, at the same time, if he's there just to be that audience surrogate, and having him just do the same thing over and over again, it's going to get boring and it's going to get just redundant. So if he survives his third film, I'm going to be kind of disappointed.
Like I said, if they play their cards right, they could A, not only dispose of his character so they don't need it for future projects, but B, set themselves up for another villain so they can use him for the next film.
Right.
Which could be Spider unless they just go all out and have some kind of animal character or something be the villain.
Yeah. Who knows? Like, I keep
really
I keep bringing it up, but like I'm very much looking forward to the characters maybe eventually going to Earth. I just think that kind of dynamic will be interesting. And like, there's a line in this movie that says like Earth is dying, and like they're trying to figure out a way to populate Pandora with human beings eventually. So like if and when they eventually, like, the Na'vi do get to go to Earth, like I'm just very interested to see what Earth looks like this far into the future, and B, like how dystopian and how run down it actually is, you know.
So the way I picture it, because we got like a 2-second glimpse of it in the first movie, and you can see some of the cityscape and like a reflection of the water.
Yeah.
You've seen like previews in the game to like Cyberpunk, right?
Yeah.
I imagine the city being somewhat like that, but the people that live there, I imagine being like the politicians on Coruscant in Star Wars. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Just kind of like have their nose held up high, super rich, don't care because money can pay for all their problems and stuff like that. Because there's obviously people that are paying for this program that sent all these...
And the humans are already hunting the whales, so we already have enough incentive for not only us to care about the whales, but obviously the Na'vi to care about them, because they said that they're very important. Like, the whales are basically like a family member to them, and so if they threaten or kill those whales, then that's going to be enough for them to try to retaliate. So I just feel like if they wanted to introduce that kind of concept of like another resource that the humans are trying to obtain, kind of like the unobtainium in the first movie, like if they wanted to do that with the bone marrow fluid, they should have done that like more towards the middle of the movie. Like basically put that scene to where the whales come back kind of like maybe like 10, 20, 30-ish minutes after Jake Sully and his family get to the new water tribe. Like have that scene with the whales coming back like after that. I feel like that just would have flowed better and made a little bit more sense, but that's just me.
Honestly, I agree. I think they could have cut out a big chunk of the exposition at the beginning and
I agree.
as exposition instead, like explaining the animal life and how they tried to help it. Like here, basically, if we were to rewrite the movie, this is how I would like the beginning to be.
Yeah.
Same thing, explaining what Spider is and all of that, and then immediately cutting from that to having scenes from the battle from the last movie and showing some of the animals dying and stuff like that. And then somehow they go, all right, there's also other animals on this planet that are also being killed off by the humans, you know, stuff like that. We must find a way to protect them. And then they find themselves going over to the water tribe or whatever it was called and meeting all of those animals and mingling with all of those that they can, you know, with their hair that they can bond with.
Yeah.
And then we get the glimpse with that backstory from that one whale that shows them hunting the animals. And then we go from there.
Yeah. Because, like, yeah, kind of like you were saying, like if they just like I feel like all of the pieces, like I mean, the story itself, it's okay to pretty good, like on most things, but like all of the pieces are there to where if they're just either trimmed down or shuffled around a bit, it could be that much better. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. Which also could shave a couple minutes off of this behemoth of a film.
Yeah.
Because it is quite lengthy, in my opinion, but it is what it is.
Yeah, kind of going back to the exposition dump at the beginning, if they just would have trimmed down just a little bit of it, like I mean, when we first, like the very first shot that we see of the movie is basically like a 10 or so second montage of just sweeping shots of Pandora. You see, I think it's like the mother tree that got burned down or shot down in the first movie.
Yeah.
Got to see like the remains of that, and then just some other sweeping shots of the forest people territory, and then it cuts to Jake's monologue Yeah, if it's just got trimmed down a little bit, and like, I mean, James Cameron, he's a very, from what I've seen, like he uses very descriptive dialogue, but at the same time it's kind of wordy, and so he just would have chosen different words and structured the dialogue differently. I feel like it could have been slimmed down a little bit to kind of save up some time.
I agree. But then again, this man has a lot more power in Hollywood than we think, so he can probably make this movie however long he wants.
Yeah. Like I'd be interested to see if the next one, the Seed Bearer, is going to be just as long, if not longer. Like
I think it's going to be a little bit longer, because if I've known anything about James Cameron, he can tell a story, but he's going to milk that story dry until it runs out. Yeah. So every little drip he can get, it's literally drip or drown in this situation, and this man is choosing to swim.
Featuring James Cameron, Drip or Drown season 4.
But since we're on the subject of James Cameron, so here's some of the controversy I've been hearing.
Yeah.
So, and this is kind of a meme in itself, so I guess it both counts as controversy and a little bit of memeage. But have you heard of the story that's been going around ever since this movie came out, that he freaked out in a couple of instances, like during test screenings and in like the writer's studio, like the writing spot, whenever they would do like the storyboards and all that, that he would freak out when anybody would say the word whale?
I did not know.
So what was the character's name that he bonded with, that one whale? Like, what was the whale's name?
Oh, God.
You know what I'm talking about,
yeah,
though?
Yeah.
So he has a name.
It was the one that was considered an outsider among the whales.
Yeah, and that animal has a name, too, and it wasn't whale. It was, you know what it was, don't you?
Yeah, some sort of, like, hold on, I'll just look it up real quick. Continue.
Anyway, when anybody would just be casually talking about the story, like, I could imagine one of the writers, like co-writers or producers, going up to the storyboard and being like, yeah, so when this character jumps into the water and he sees the whale, I could just imagine that whole scenario playing out like the movie Whiplash in one scene. And I know you've seen the movie Whiplash, right?
Yeah.
So the character that what is the director's name of that movie? Not the director, but like the music director. He plays in all the farmers commercials.
Oh.
J.K. Simmons.
Yes, Jesus Christ. I wanted to say J. Jonah Jameson, but like, no, that's the character, not the guy.
So I could imagine James Characters. Yeah, that's his name, James Characters. I could imagine James Cameron's like persona being embedded in the exact same way J. Jonah Jameson's character. I can imagine him being embedded in that film with that character, and literally this whole scenario could just play out like, yeah, so whenever this character jumps into the water and sees the whale, and then just out of frame a chair gets thrown, and he's like,
why do you suppose I just hurled a chair at your head, Neiman?
I don't know.
Sure you do.
you know what I mean? I could see that playing out just like that.
Yeah.
Or just like, there's another scene in Whiplash where he's like slapping the character's face, Miles Teller's face, and he's like, do you think you're dragging or do you think you're rushing?
Yeah.
I could see him doing that exact same thing.
Do you think you're smart or do you think you're dumb?
Do you think you're out of tune?
The whales' names, by the way, are the Tolkien.
The Tolkien, yeah. So
that's
literally,
the species. Like, that's what they're called.
Yeah, he would literally like freak out and autocorrect anybody. Like, as soon as somebody was like, yeah, so whenever the character jumps into the water and sees the the Tolkien, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He apparently did that quite a bit, and he got very defensive over it. So that's why I literally picture him being that character from Whiplash throwing a chair. That's just the way I picture that whole scenario. But then again, you've seen some of the interviews. His ego kind of takes over everything.
Yeah. He's definitely got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and it's not necessarily. Yeah, it's not necessarily that he hasn't earned to have that chip on his shoulder, because like I was actually watching a video from John Campea the other day. Avatar 2 is on pace to possibly crack the top 5 highest grossing films of all time, which is, if that's the case, then James Cameron will have 3 of the top 5 highest grossing movies of all time under his belt. Avatar 1 at number 1, Titanic at number 3, and then it's number 3 or number 4, and then Avatar: The Way of Water possibly at number 5, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. And so like with that kind of accolade under your belt, I could kind of see how you can have like think big of yourself and like, oh yeah, I'm top dog around here, but like at some point there's some point where you got to rein it in and be like, okay, even though I did all of this awesome stuff, like I need to just brush off the whole can of Pringles on my shoulder, come back down to earth for a little bit and be a normal human being. But
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he's definitely earned it, but I just think he needs to rein it in a little bit.
Like I said, literally, he is the embodiment of J.K. Simmons' character from Whiplash. I don't know why, but every time I think of James Cameron, that's the first thing that pops into my head. It's either that or Tony Stark.
Tony Stark in what context?
The first movie before he before he got captured from the Ten Rings.
Yeah.
Just how he comes off as that snoopy rich guy that can get away with just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he reminds me of.
The kind of guy who's trying to take a picture with some guy in a Humvee holding a glass of whiskey and like, oh my God, you're a woman. He looks at that one chick.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I could just see that being that, like, whole persona almost.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he's... honestly, the only things that I've seen from James Cameron, like, someone asked him like what he thinks of the success of Avatar: The Way of Water, like what he thinks that's all attributed to. He's like, yeah, I mean, I just think it's a really good movie, and it's something that people want to actually go see in the theater, and like, I think the line, or I think the quote is, yeah, let's stop with the streaming already. Like, I want to get off my ass or something like that. Like, which, I mean, there's definitely some truth to that, because like a lot of the movies that we've seen get dumped onto streaming, either A, are garbage or just not really all that good, and this really don't have any, not necessarily artistic integrity, but like just don't really have that wow factor or that oomph that a movie really needs to really hook you on. Or B, are movies that definitely deserve a theatrical release but don't get, because all these streaming services and all these companies are looking for content for their streaming service. And so, I mean, kind of like with Pixar, like Turning Red, Luca, Raya, and The Last Dragon, I think, if I'm remembering that right, all of those animated movies were dumped on Disney Plus whenever, at least Turning Red and Luca definitely deserved a theatrical release. Just, I mean, I haven't seen Luca, but I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I've seen Turning Red. That movie was pretty good. I mean, it was about a little girl going through puberty basically and turning into a giant red panda, but I can definitely see that getting a good amount of money at the box office just because of how kids would have gravitated toward it, and how obviously little girls would have gravitated toward it and everything. Like, movies just aren't made the same anymore. Like, the attitude is just different.
Exactly. And they've all kind of gone, I don't know how to describe it, they've all kind of blend together now. They've all kind of gone gray. Yeah. They're not as colorful as they used to be back in the early 2000s and 80s and 90s and all of that. But speaking of which, when you were talking about James Cameron just a second ago, did you see in like a recent interview, I'll have to go back and find the article, but same thing that you were just talking about from that interview you were mentioning. He said that yeah, the Avatar movie is doing great, and something along the lines of one of the interviewers asking him, "So, what do you think of your movie crushing it at the box office?" And he goes, "Well, I guess I'm gonna have to make 2 or 3 more of these."
Yeah, for real. Because, like, obviously, his family and, like, probably 2 or 3 generations down are going to be fine. They're going to be A-okay.
Yes.
He just needs to make 2 or 3 more Avatar movies, so then his family 5 or 6 generations down are going to be A-okay. They don't even have to worry about anything.
Exactly. But anyway, some more controversy behind this movie.
Oh?
So it kind of traces back to the first movie. It has nothing to do with James Cameron.
Oh?
But it surfaced after the first one came out. Have you ever heard of post-Avatar depression syndrome?
Yes.
And the first thing that popped into my mind when this movie came out is, wow, this is going to spread like wildfire again. And I don't know. I've never gotten that feeling from, like, yes, I get kind of sucked into the world and everything like that whenever I watch a movie, but I don't get sucked into it that far.
Right. Like,
But it's a legit syndrome now. Like, people, whenever they go to a therapist, they're like, yeah, you totally got post-Avatar depression syndrome.
like, that's so crazy to me. Like, I just want to know how. I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the movies are great, and they look great, and James Cameron's really good at sucking you in and bringing you into that world, and like putting you basically, like having your eyes look through the eyes of the characters. You know, like in certain shots and certain scenes. Like, he's really good at that, but I just don't get how you can be so absorbed into something to where, like, when you leave the theater, you're just like, oh my god, like, my life sucks because I'm not in Pandora.
Exactly. Like, that takes it way too far. I crack up at that every single time.
Yeah.
Now, I feel bad for some people because, you know, if you are watching this, we are definitely making fun of you for that, and I apologize, but it's funny. It's funny. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, like, we are making fun of you, but at the same time, like, if you are one of those people, please go get help or go outside, touch some grass, one of the two. And, like, I mean that both sarcastically and like, literally. Like, if a movie is making you depressed because you're not in the world of that movie, there's probably some other stuff going on that you need to take care of. So go reach out to someone. Get some help.
Stop it. Get some help.
Know your fucking place.
Trash.
I guess you can kind of relate it to, like, post-concert depression, because I've definitely felt
That's
that.
where I was getting ready to
2 or 3
back.
more times. Like, I remember, like, after I saw Ariana Grande and Ty Dolla $ign for the first time, like, 2 different concerts, like, I remember just being like, oh my god, like, just to be back in the room with them again would be so sick. And just, like, for the little span of time, like, for the rest of that night that the concert was, I'd just be like, man, my life is boring now. Yeah.
But yeah, I every time I hear about that, I feel bad because the movie was that great that it's making you feel sad about it.
Yeah.
And B, why would you do any of that? Just no. Why would you? But that's pretty much all the controversy around the movie. I mean, some of it's more funny, some of it's kind of a meme, so it goes into the next category too. But other than that, I've gotten my point across. Unless you've heard of any controversy that I haven't necessarily touched on.
No, not really. Like, I think the biggest thing,
because there's no real bad publicity behind this movie. It's all positive stuff.
Yeah. Like, I think, the biggest thing I've seen is just the whole, like, streaming services thing. And then just the other day, because, like, Avatar is doing so well, people think, like, somehow, like, people are thinking that Disney is, like, putting out fake numbers for the movie just to drive up more hype so people go see it. And while that's definitely not out of the realm of possibility, like, that's just not how the box office for movies work. Like, there's an independent company who runs all of those kind of statistics and numbers, and then they post it out to another company who actually displays it for the public. So unless for some reason Disney is giving out millions and millions of dollars to Rentrack, that's the company who like tracks all those numbers, like unless they're pouring out millions of dollars for that company to spin a whole different story, like there's just no sense in that, you know? Like
honestly though, I could see that being a thing.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if that were a thing, like, that would be a huge thing. Like, oh my, Disney would have some major problems on their hands if that
would
were to be a thing.
Controversy in itself.
Yeah. And then another thing I just thought of was the whole, like, the movie needs to crack $2 billion to break even, which is not true. It's just simply not true. Like, no. Obviously the movie has cost a lot of money because, like, just the way this movie looks and like how most of it is CGI and computer generated effects, like there's no way it didn't cost a shitload of money. But like there's no like I'm a huge fan of John Campea. Like I watch his show on the regular.
Yeah. He
basically broke it down, and like there's no way, even a company like Disney, there's no way a company would allow a movie to have a budget, like just a production budget of $2 billion or $1.5 billion or $1 billion. Like that's just not a thing. Like, no. Because the return on investment is not guaranteed. Like, for all we know, no. Avatar: The Way of Water could have been a garbage heap, and it could only maybe pulled in like, it's like if the movie was bad, I could still see it pulling in like anywhere between $600 to $800 million, maybe $900 million if the movie was bad. But like there's just no way. There's just simply no way a movie would need or has a budget of $1 billion, and then that doesn't even factor in
unreasonable. Yeah,
that doesn't even factor in marketing costs, because like basically like if you want to figure out the full budget for a movie, you look up like Avengers Endgame budget. It's going to give you a figure probably like $250 to $350 million. You basically take that number and then basically times 2, because roughly, like, it's not like, more often than not, it's not like exactly the same, but roughly it's about, the marketing costs just about as much as the production cost, if not more or less. It just depends on what movie we're talking about here. But like exactly. that's usually a good indicator as to how much the movie actually costs. So like factoring in production and marketing budgets, there's simply no way Disney would allow that.
This movie in itself would have been in a whole heap of trouble if that was the case. Yeah. And it would have found itself in its own Titanic scenario. The movie would have just sank.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real here.
Yeah.
And $1 billion budget, that is so unreasonable.
Yeah.
They wouldn't make money off of that.
Yeah. And so I think right now Avatar is sitting at $1.7 billion. So like theoretically, if the movie did cost $1 billion to just produce, then if we're going off that same kind of logic, then yeah, the movie would have to make $2 billion just to say they've broke even, which is again, it's just not a thing. Like that's incredibly stupid of a company to do. Like even if Amazon, like, because they're way bigger than Disney. Like I think Amazon and Apple are like the biggest companies in the world, because like Disney's a huge company, but if Amazon, like I was actually seeing this, if Amazon wanted to buy Disney, they could buy Disney like 10 or 11 times over and still have money left over. Whoa. That's how big Amazon really is. But yeah, even if Amazon were to like have a movie like that. Like they're even they wouldn't allow $1 billion budget, because they would even see, because like their like Prime Video is like definitely a factor for them, but like obviously the main driving force behind Prime Video is Amazon Prime, like the delivery service. Like
yeah, exactly.
That's where they're getting all of their money from. Like the Prime Video is just an add-on. Like they would never allow that. Never.
No. Jesus, I can just imagine a $1 billion movie sitting down at the box office with my $6 ticket and my $19 worth of concession stand goodies, sitting down about to watch $1 billion movie. Man, I made it in life. About to put on my 3D goggles and watch this movie, and then it's just a dumpster fire of a film. I would feel so bad.
Yeah, like if there were to be $1 billion movie, it better be the best movie of all time. Like,
agreed.
If you have $1 billion production budget, because I'm pretty sure production budgets also factor in like who they hire. So if you're not hiring the best writers, the best director, the best cinematography, the best the best musicians to do the score and the soundtrack, then what are you doing with that money? Like, exactly. Not all of that money has to go to CGI. Like, there's that's just silly.
Is that Leo I hear in the background?
Yes, it is.
I was wondering what that background sound was.
Yes, so yeah, anyone who's listening or watching, yes, that dog you saw in my intro, that's my boy Leo. He's a 2-year-old boxer pit bull, and right now he is just really wanting me to throw this squeaky toy.
So just for context for everybody right now, we live on completely different sides of the state. That's why it looks so drastically different. I run and manage my own YouTube channel. Not trying to be like a shameless plug, but I am trying to be a shameless plug because that, I mean, it's pretty aight.
Pretty aight.
We thought it would be funny to just, make our own intro, and here we are.
Yep.
It's just been so long since we've made a podcast. We've been talking to each other for ages about coming back, and we couldn't figure out what to do it over. And then we were just on a phone call the other night. I'm like, why don't we just do it over Avatar, since it's relatively new?
Yeah. And I think we should talk about that for a little bit. So basically, I was in a house with a couple of buddies of mine, and I mean, I definitely consider them still friends, but like living with your friends is totally different than going over to their house or chilling for like a day or two. Like, totally different things that we're talking about. And so it just got to a point where I just needed to get my own place, like my own place. So I found somewhere. What's up?
I said, yeah, you got yourself a crib now.
Yeah, I got myself my own crib. I got myself like a dedicated studio room. So yeah, like this is like whenever I was first trying to move out of my mom's, what I'm in now is what I was picturing what my life would be like when I first moved out with my friends. But
it was just a slow burn. You got there.
Yeah, slow burn. And definitely learned a lot during that first year out in the real world. So yeah, I think it was for the better. Not all of it was glitz and glamour and rainbows and sunshine.
And it never will be. That's just life.
Yeah, that's just the way it goes. The way life goes. By Lil Uzi Vert. But yeah, I'm in my own place now. Me and Leo have never been happier, as he's destroying whatever squeaker toy that he's chomping on right now.
Yeah, literally, like, okay. Since high school, we've had this idea for a podcast, and it's drastically changed. Now, I will, just for context, since you guys haven't really necessarily seen us, until, like, if you've never seen my YouTube channel and you've never seen anything of Andrew's, how dare you?
Yeah. Come on now. Do your homework.
For a little bit of context for you, we are relatively young adults trying to find our place in this world.
Yes.
And we love content creation. Andrew's dipped his feet in the water with music. I've dipped my feet in the water with comedy and just videos because I find myself naturally funny. A lot of other people don't, and I don't necessarily care.
Nah,
and
bro, you're hilarious. Like, genuinely hilarious.
Thank you. We've decided to put both of our heads together with the more serious tone from Andrew and the more comedic side of mine into a podcast, and then that in itself was a slow burn. It took us 2 years till we got started.
Yeah, it was like I remember back when I was in college for a short little spat. I remember sitting down in like the common area or something with my laptop, my old shitty Dell laptop.
I had one of those too.
Making the first iteration of our YouTube channel name and like icons, profile pictures, things like that. And then we almost got to do it, but then like I think I got sidetracked with school and things like that, and it just never happened. And then COVID happened right after that, so
pretty much
that
it was a
thing.
double whammy.
Yeah. And then, gosh, when did we finally get together on this idea?
2 years ago. It was 2021, I believe. I think it was that summer because we were fat chilling. This was before you moved in with your friends. Because we were looking at places for ourselves. We were going to move in together and start a podcast then.
Yeah.
And we never did. And then it just kind of, the story rounded itself out, and you found yourself with your own place. I found myself with my own place. A couple months passed, and then we're like, hey, we got free time. Why don't we try and knock this out? And we got everything set up, and then it just kind of settled for a little bit. And then we finally decided to, I think you came down to my house, and we filmed that video in Fazoli's.
Yeah.
And then when we got back from my house, or from Fazoli's, sorry, we went to my house from Fazoli's. We sat down, and I'm like, dude, we should totally film an intro video for this, like a commercial or something. And we filmed like maybe a 5-minute video, and it's literally just us basically telling you exactly what we're telling you now.
Yeah.
Except the only addition is you get to see Andrew and me eat M&Ms. That's about the only difference.
Yeah. And now that you think of it, the movie that got us really going was Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh my god, yeah.
I just thought of that.
The Snyder cut.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that, dude. That's a blast from the past.
Oh yeah.
But
with our new kind of way of doing content these days, though, we're probably gonna have to redo that video.
Honestly, yeah, we'll just remaster it. You know, like DC did with Justice League.
Yeah.
We'll make a 4-hour cut of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I was living in an RV at the time, and Andrew would either occasionally come visit me for content, or we would just hop on like a phone call and just spout off at each other for ideas. And meanwhile, I was working a job, 9-to-5 job, pumping out content as often as I could. And then we finally, fortune hit us both at the right time, I think, because COVID hit, everyone was down in the dumps, and then boom, me and you got our own places. We finally, like, we're both living like kings right now.
Mm-hmm.
We finally have time to record videos, and look at us now. We're making a podcast, making content for the folks that decide to watch it. That would be you, the guy sitting there listening to us spout off useless information.
Yeah.
But other than that, feels good to finally be back. And what better way than talk about the biggest blockbuster of last year, Avatar.
The Way of Water.
But
anyway, kind of to circle back around to the actual movie we're talking about. Like we were saying before, Zach, I think, he's found a couple of golden nuggets, I guess, if you will, about Avatar. And they are some doozies, to say the least. So what exactly did you find?
Okay, hold up. Basically, I had to get the mic closer to my mouth so you can hear. Basically. So there's been this image that keeps reappearing on basically every form of social media for me. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything. And it's this like concept art of the Colonel before the movie got shot, and I could not help but laugh at it because everybody's memeing on it now. It's a total meme now. And it's way too serious for what it needs to be. But we were on call the other night, and I'm like, dude, I got something I got to show you real quick. I didn't even give Andrew any context for it. I straight up went, oh, I can't find it. I searched and searched and searched, and then I finally found it, and I sent it to him. And it was this image. And I'm just like, here's some context for you.
Yeah.
Switches body cam off.
It's like I could just see it in my head like that. Like I haven't seen, like, I've only seen the concept art that you shown me. I haven't seen like the actual meme that where it says switches body cam off, but I could just see that exact layout in my brain. Like I've just seen so many memes at this point.
There's that one, and then there's the one where it goes, you know, the burgers and hot dogs are gonna be mad fire with this gentleman on the grill, and it's that picture that I sent you. But and then there's that one. It wasn't even a meme yet. I'm pretty sure I noticed it right away as soon as we watched the movie. The haircut, the gentleman with the haircut,
Yes. Lil Mosey.
Little Mosey. Literally, they just took like screen grabs from his music videos and just pasted it into this and gave him a voice and was ready to rock. He wasn't even in the movie for very long. He's like a background character.
Yeah.
And I picked him out right away like it was a Where's Waldo picture.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like, he's even got like the necklace like thing on, like a decorative necklace thing, and like that's his ice, you know, like that's his tribal ice, you know what I'm saying?
It's tribal ice, yeah. But yeah, I was just remember we were sitting and it was a pretty packed auditorium. We're just sitting there and I'm like, dude, what is that? And it was just that guy kept popping up in the background, and then he showed up again. I'm like, this guy with that yee ass haircut. Yeah. And you fucking lost it, dude.
Yeah. I remember when we were walking out of the theater, I was like, I guess we know what James Cameron is listening to when he's on his way to the film lot. He's blasting Blueberry Faygo.
That's how he gets hyped up, yeah. But, and then I remember, okay, we're sitting in that auditorium. Right, I'm pretty sure, excuse me. I'm pretty sure you were falling asleep.
Yes, oh my god.
And before you could wake up and was conscious, you ripped the gnarliest fart I think I have ever heard. Yeah. And I said it very, very, very loud. Like, enough to where almost everybody in the auditorium could have heard it. I went, what the absolute fuck?
Dude, like, that was one of those things where, like, it felt like it was going to be small and quiet, and then, like...
Dude, it rumbled like, my seat.
Yeah, like, once, it was like one of those things where it was small and quiet, and then when it finally released, it was like a dam broke. It was like... And then, yeah, it just erupted from my cheeks, and then pretty much everyone in the rows behind us, in front of us, heard me split the leather.
The people that were sitting beside me, I know for a fact they were laughing because I could see them visibly jumping up and down from laughing. But oh my god,
it was priceless.
Every time we've been to a theater, there's at least some sort of theater experience that happens to make it memorable.
Yeah. Every single one.
Almost every single one. It's insane. But that's pretty much all the memes I could find so far. I'm sure there's more.
Yeah.
I just haven't really dug into it yet.
Yeah, this movie's going to be out for another, I'd say 3, maybe 4 weeks or so. So, I mean, there's plenty of time for someone to think of something absolutely ridiculous to put on Instagram or TikTok.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I'm planning on making that picture of Blueberry Fago guy my profile picture now and like everything.
Yes.
It's literally a cursed image. Like it does not need to exist, but there it is.
There it is, right there.
But other than all of that, we've
Yeah.
covered just about every square inch around this movie.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was pretty good.
Yeah. I think overall it was pretty good. I mean, it's not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely something where, if I haven't seen it for a while, then I'll be like, yeah, I wouldn't mind putting that on and getting sucked back into Pandora.
Yeah.
I just hope that with these next couple of movies that James Cameron's gonna make, they really try their best to kind of give us more time with Jake, because I feel like he was kind of sidelined in this movie because like the focus was really on the kids, like to make us care about his kids and their dynamic and like everything that's going on with them, because you have the second oldest, and spoiler alert, the oldest dies, and then the second kid, he's gonna be like living with that, and what that means for his dynamic with his family, especially his father. And then you have Kira, who is like their adopted daughter from Sigourney Weaver's character, and her dynamic with Awa, and like something I wanted to swing by you real quick. Do you think that James Cameron's going to play with the idea of like an immaculate conception kind of thing with Kira?
Elaborate.
So like how like the Catholic religion displays the birth of Jesus Christ, like God just essentially spawned, I guess, Jesus in Mary's womb, and that's how he was conceived. Like she didn't have sex or anything. Like God just decided to make.
That's probably
Mary
what they're
pregnant with
going
her.
to do with Sigourney Weaver's character or offspring.
Yeah. Like, because like she's so like, especially in the movie, like there's a lot of shots with her just being one with nature, and like there's one where she's either sitting on the like laying on the grass, and like it looked like the grass was breathing with her, and then there's that one shot or that one scene where she was literally just head first in the water staring at the sand.
Yeah.
So I really, and then there was the whole thing with her like controlling those big like mushroom coral sort of things in the water that crush that like submarine kind of thing, and during the final battle. So
yeah,
they're definitely playing with something very spiritual with her, and I'm just wondering if like an immaculate conception is kind of what he's going for, but I guess we'll just have to see. But yeah, like that whole tangent aside, the movie was really good. It's not something that I'll probably see one more time and then kind of let it sit on the shelf for a little bit and then let it simmer, and hopefully that the next movie really takes the story and runs with it into whole new places. Apparently they're going to be interacting with the Ash people, quote unquote, and they're going to be it's going to show off a more violent and aggressive side of the Na'vi, according to James Cameron. So that'll be cool to see. But yeah, I just hope the story really takes off, because James Cameron's also said that the Avatar 1 and 2 now are both like the setup for where the story's going to go, and like what's actually going to be like the big thing, you know, kind of like a, I don't want to say Empire Strikes Back kind of movie or kind of moment, but that's, yeah, I just really hope that everything on all levels is just going to be enhanced, made better, that kind of thing.
That would be the way to do it. If they don't take 15 years to make the next one.
Yeah, apparently the third one was shot like right alongside the second one, so hopefully it comes out here in the next like 2 or so years. I can't see the wait time being longer than 3 years. That would be crazy.
Yeah, same here. I just think it was crazy that they shot this movie almost right off the back of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But it took this long to release it.
Yeah, it's insane.
That was a joke, but I guess it was well worth the wait because it is not a bad movie at all.
Yeah, not a bad movie, not a perfect movie. It's pretty dang good.
I think we've picked this movie apart pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
See what I did there. I'm definitely probably because I've only seen it once, so I'm probably gonna see it one more time, just to fortify my evidence that I shared with everybody. But other than that, yeah, I totally agree. I don't think I'm gonna see it any more than twice. Yeah. I think that's probably gonna be it for me.
Yeah, it'll be one of those kind of movies where if you're in the mood for it, and like maybe if you're wanting to watch the first 2 movies like before the third one comes out, that's probably honestly when I'd watch it again, like outside of a theater.
Same. Like once it gets, I'm sure it's probably gonna go to Disney Plus.
Oh, for sure.
I'll probably watch both of them, not back to back, but I'll probably watch one night and one the next because that's a lot of Avatar.
Yeah, that's like 6, almost 6 hours or so of just straight Jake Sully.
Yep. So that's a lot of Sully.
So much Sully.
Just want to show him my cannons.
That's a whole other beast. Oh my god.
But other than that,
so I guess what would you, Zach, rate this movie out of 10 if you were to give it a number score?
Well, the first one, since it's kind of original, I would give it a 9. But since this one's hardly 10 is obviously the best, right?
Right.
Yeah, so the first one definitely a 9. This one, since it's not really breaking any new ground, it kind of feels like the first movie, just a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give it an 8.5 or just an 8.
That's fair. That's pretty much where I would put it, around to a solid like 8.5. Like I think I was talking to you like way back when Shang-Chi first came out. Like in my opinion, that is like the perfect example of a solid 8 out of 10 movie. And
Shang-Chi?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And this movie, like, obviously, like, 2 completely different films that we're talking about here. But, like, in my humble opinion, like, this movie, like I said, it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn good. So I definitely say it's a solid 8.5 as well. So definitely a good watch. It's not something that I'm going to go back to a lot, but when I do watch it, I know I'm going to have a good time. I think that just wraps up this podcast episode.
Yes, sir.
So wherever you might be listening, whether it be YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get our video content from, our audio content from, be sure to give us a follow and a rating, whether it be a like, a thumbs up, whatever the case might be. That would be awesome. And put a comment down below in the comment section so you can tell us how we're doing and to give us any ideas, because I mean we both have a lot of ideas of where we want to take this channel now that we're back in the swing of things. But if you guys have any suggestions, just let us know and we'll take those into account. And yeah, all of our social pages are down in the description as well, so if you want to get to know us better and kind of follow us and get updates on the channel like ASAP, just follow those, and that's where you can get all of that kind of information. Do you have anything to close out, Zach?
No, so we still have our Twitter page, right?
Yep.
So if you haven't already followed our Twitter page, we share a lot of info that we usually talk about on here. So memes, right front and center. First of all, we have a lot of controversial topics like stuff that's behind movies, behind the scenes, things that you don't normally talk about with movies. But I think we should start incorporating polls, because sometimes when we're in between filming certain things that we want to talk about, like I think we're going to start rewriting big name franchises story-wise at some point. But between doing those, if we want to just do like an one-off movie, like we'll hold a poll between between like Bolt and the B movie or something like that, and see which one gets voted the most, and then we'll just pick it apart.
Yeah, I like that.
Other than that, yeah, he's right. All our socials are down at the bottom. Definitely give those a glance.
Yeah.
But or a gander, I should say. Sorry.
See what you did there.
Yeah. Other than that, definitely go check out the Captain America video. It's a little old. It's time to dust it off if you guys haven't already seen it yet. This one, definitely an adventure. Well worth the wait. I'm excited to be back in the chair again.
Yeah, it's good to be back in the swing of things.
But hopefully, we're living up to our promise from the original video. We should be able to pump out more content now that we're back in a stable swing of things. So if like I said, if you guys have any suggestions for videos or anything like that, definitely leave it in the comments or swing it by us on Twitter. Links to all of that will be in the description, and I guess we'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah. So we just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's listened up to this point, and that this has been Andrew and Zach here at the Nitpick Central podcast. Thank you so much again for listening, and we are signing out.